Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, I'm your friendly neighborhood basement dwelling IT bubbles, Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. We all love the kitty cat. It's been an interesting week for most IT guys. I mean, it was like all of a sudden a few days ago, every IT guy was simultaneously called by their mother, their grandmother, their neighbor, the woman next door. The problem that they were experiencing, Facebook would not work. I think it was Instagram that was affected by it too. It was as if all of these nanas, all of these parents cried out to IT at the same time, reaching out to their children to find out, why won't Facebook work? Why do I actually have to work? I can't work without getting on the Facebook. And the super interesting thing about this entire situation is it hit every class, the rich, the poor, and the people in between. Now, if you're American, the people in between are called the middle class. And in other countries, there is a class called the middle class. I probably shouldn't be touching American politics, though. Anyways, the Reaper came for everyone collectively. Facebook was not working. No longer could people look up pictures of their children. But once again, the super interesting part of all of this is we see how interconnected our lives are through the Zuck. The Zuckening has come upon us, and we are all within his digital universe now. And once again, I'm left thinking, what is reality online? In reality, is reality real if we don't have Facebook? Has the internet become real than real? Is it possible for us to be real and to live our lives without Facebook? Back in the day, if I would have spent the same time the average parent spends on Facebook, on Yahoo Chat, people would have called me an individual who was addicted to the internet. And I was, and I will never look back. Man, reality is overrated. But the internet, there's so much free furry prawns on the internet, which is why I prefer it. But seriously though, I can't get over how much it affected like everybody. On the factory floors of my small town, nanas were coming lining up to IT. People were talking around the cooler. People were chatting around the palletizer. Everyone talking about how Facebook doesn't work. So you know that movie Enter Player One? You know what I'm talking about. Everybody had these VR headsets on. Nana Papa, the kids, everyone had these VR headsets on. And now what it's starting to look like to me is everybody has these headsets on. Everybody has these mother boxes, these remote control. Everybody's got a cell phone, my guys. And it's as if we enter into a crisis when this stuff doesn't work. So it turns out that the issue wasn't actually a DNS issue, which everyone thought initially it was. It was new switches that were put into the Facebook infrastructure that didn't work the way they were supposed to. Now, when they realized something was going wrong, they found out pretty quickly that these new switches were in places that it was physically difficult to get into. Of course, because of non-disclosure agreements, we'll never figure out exactly what they were dealing with. But one day, I really want to hear a story about exactly what happened and how they fixed it. But I'm just freaking blown away by the fact that reality, that everybody's day-to-day life seems to have changed a little bit because they didn't have the Facebook. How plugged in are we? How connected are we? I mean, there are a lot of us that spend all day online and in our basements that know exactly how locked in we are, but it's not until the lights go out on everybody that we truly know how many of us are connected. So ultimately, yeah, we are all interconnected with Facebook and Instagram. A lot of the older folks who just don't get out, a lot of the older folks who we just don't love enough or have time enough to go and visit are just out there in the dark. They have to wait for phone calls. They have to pester you with phone calls. They have to wait until you send them letters so they can figure out exactly what's going on in their day-to-day life. But Facebook brings them all together. It's just interesting to see what happens when the lights go out on all of us, and suddenly we see how many of us are interconnected through these online platforms, which we complain about. And I continue to say that these online platforms, these are just places to go and hang out. It's up to you to fill it with content. It's up to you to fill it with society. And then when we see what society is, we can tell if we actually like it or not. And from what I see, there's a lot of us who just don't want anything to do with it. Many of us who are actually basement dwellers at heart, but we all live above ground level and we all connect through the beast that is the internet. The beast that we both despise and love at the same time as we despise and love one another. I don't know, but seriously, it's crazy to see when Facebook goes down how many people's lives are dependent on it. Suddenly, I don't feel so addicted to the internet, but I am though, as are most of us. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Thanks for hanging on, folks. I really appreciate it, but overall, seriously, take care of each other, will you?